Could it be that dogs are a virus on humanity? Well, let's have a look at a Dr. Berg video and understand viruses a little bit better.
A virus is dead. It's not alive. Yet it can destroy your body. So let me just show you something. This is a cell. If we open up the cell, it has a bunch of things in it. Okay, you can see it has all these different, they're called organelles. They're just little tiny parts of this huge factory that makes stuff. Okay, you have the mitochondria in here, which is the energy factory. You have the ribosome, which is basically a protein factory. And then you have the nucleus right in the center here. Well, guess what? Viruses don't have any of this stuff right here. In fact, viruses are not even cells. A virus.
Okay, wait a minute. So, that's interesting. So, let me show you this thing that he's talking about. So, this kind of reminds me of like a human family: the mom, the dad, the kids, uncle, the coworkers, all of the human type of emotions and empathy that humans have. And dogs don't have that. He said earlier that viruses are dead, that they're not the same as the cell. Well, it's kind of like dogs too. Dogs are not humans, but they can get in there and they can take over all of these little human functions. To me, this cell that he's holding, that kind of reminds me of like a house that has a bunch of dogs in it. Dogs are not humans. Dogs can't run a sewing machine or a vacuum or operate a stove, but they will go into the house and tear it up. So,
Factory. You have the ribosome, which is basically a protein factory, and then you have the nucleus right in the center here. Well, guess what? Viruses don't have any of this stuff right here. In fact, viruses are not even cells. A virus is just some blueprints with the sac around it that has no energy, no machine. It cannot do anything outside your cell. Today, we're going to get into some.
so that kind of reminds me of dogs too. A dog cannot function outside of being taken care of by humans. Most dogs, if you let them free, they would just go feral. They would fight amongst each other. They would have to be captured or shot or put down. And most wild animals wouldn't put up with dogs.
Potential theories on where viruses really came from. It's really interesting. And viruses, on one hand, can kill you, but on the other hand, they can actually really help you. And I'm going to get into that as well. But to understand viruses, you have to just get a little bit of a foundation of what they are and what they're not. Viruses are not cells. They're very tiny things that compared to the cell. So they come in contact with a cell and it's like a lock and a key. Something gets inserted like a spike protein and it just activates something that then causes a chain reaction.
This reminds me of dogs as well. People go out and get pet dogs, and the dog just kind of takes over everything. They're hugging the dog, kissing the dog, sleeping with the dog, connecting with the dog the way that a virus connects with a living cell. But neither one of those scenarios is healthy. Putting the dog in the bassinet, putting the dog in the bed, all of these things cause downstream problems.
In your body, which involves the hijacking of your machinery. So they basically can tap into your energy, use your resources, not theirs, for their survival.
Ooh, does that sound like dog owners or does that sound like dogs? They tap into your energy. They need you for survival. Not just like energy like electricity and money, but your emotional energy. Dogs break up relationships all the time. Dogs attack their own owners. Dogs attack people that work in animal shelters and dog care facilities. Police dogs attack innocent people. Police dogs even attack the police officers. So that sounds a lot like viruses too.
And then they start to reproduce and make more of themselves. And then they explode your cell. Okay.
Ooh, reproduce. Yeah, dogs are reproducing like crazy. Like we have stray dog packs in USA that kill people. And we have airplanes that fly back and forth across state lines carrying stray dogs to other shelter organizations where they can go and infect other humans and other communities. So yeah, reproduce. That's what dogs do. They're just constantly reproducing. I know a person that is about to get married. They have a kid and they have two dogs, and one of their dogs is pregnant. And they're going to have to figure out how to cover the expenses of all these extra dogs. And that's something that happens all over society too. The constant reproduction of dogs.
They're not nice. They're classified
They're not nice. Yeah.
as parasitic. Now,
Ooh, dogs are parasitic too. Dogs are they are classified as an invasive species, and they are very parasitic on human settlements.
before I get into some of the theories on where viruses came from, which is a huge mystery, I want to just cover some ways that these viruses evade your immune system. There's one type of virus, they rupture the cell membrane, they disintegrate it. They're called lytic viruses. And then the other type of viruses are called latent viruses. So they also destroy your cell, but soon after the initial infection, they invade your DNA and they go silent. And then one day you get
Invade your DNA and go silent. Okay? This kind of sounds like all of these dogs that live in people's apartments and houses and everywhere else. You might get a dog and say, oh, he's a family dog. He's the best dog ever. He's my little blue-nosed pit bull. He's my cuddle bunny. But then 5 years later, 2 years later, the dog kills a toddler. The dog kills the neighbor's dog. The dog puts the postman in the emergency room, or puts grandma, removes grandma's arms. Yes, dogs have done that. I'll put a video in the description for you to check out. But it's like with the virus, it becomes part of your DNA. And then later on, when you get stressed or something, all of a sudden you got a virus, even though you were fine for years. This happens with dogs too.
a little bit older and you go through stress and bam, they come out of remission and they become reactivated, like herpes simplex.
Yeah, what he's talking about there, that's kind of like what I was describing with the dogs. The pit bull owners that are surprised that the dog killed their wife. Lots of compilations out there from dog bite awareness and pit bull victim awareness, and of course, other dogs.
Like that little blister you get on your lip is one example. HIV is another example. Epstein-Barr virus is another one. So the problem with the latent viruses is they pretty much last a very long time in your body and they never go away. And as long as you don't experience a lot of stress or poor health, you might.
So he said that those viruses last a long time in your body and they usually don't go away. That's like all the family dogs that live in the house. And yeah, you can have the dog for a long time and maybe you never get attacked. Maybe it just bites you a little bit. Maybe it just attacked you once or twice, but quote unquote didn't draw blood. But that's just like with the virus. It lives in your house for a long, long time. The dog lives in your house for a long, long time. And when you get stressed, or the dog gets stressed, or there's too much noise in the environment, that's when the attacks happen. That's when the dog diarrheas all over your floor. That's when the dog chews up your couch and ruins your 24-pack of Bounty paper towels.
Might be okay. But the lytic viruses do their destruction and the immune system eventually takes care of them and wipes them out. It's just wild that these viruses even exist in the first place. Where did they come from and why are they here?
I've often asked myself that about dogs. Go to a park that is just crowded with dog owners, barking and fighting and chasing people around. Why are these freaking things here?
First one is called the virus first hypothesis. In this theory, the virus has been thought to come before even our cells existed. Another theory is called reduction theory. In this theory, a virus is some type of remnants or residual something from some living cell. So it's lost its ability to survive independently, and so it must need another cell to tap into its energy. Then you get this other theory, it's called the giant virus and the fourth domain. This really has challenged the traditional theory of viruses because a giant virus is a lot more complex. And the theory goes that viruses are a fourth domain. So you have different types of cells. You have bacteria cells, you have other cells. It's not really a cell, it's just an entity. Then you get this next theory that has to do with contribution to evolution or having something evolve. And this theory goes like this. You have this thing called horizontal gene transfer. It's kind of like sharing knowledge, key knowledge to help someone survive. You can pass down knowledge from you to your children. In fact, 8% of our genes have.
Okay, now he's going to get into something that I think is important. He's going to talk about how your immune system develops genetic factors and how when you confront something that is a virus, you are supposed to react to it with your immune system, and that makes your immune system strong, which has been proven. And but with dog culture, we don't allow our immune system to develop an immunity against dogs. Yeah, we have antibodies for pet dander and stuff like that, but dogs that are killing us, attacking us, sucking our resources, ruining our relationships, barking, shitting, pissing, costing millions of dollars in payouts for police bites, and on and on and on. Check my playlist. We are not developing an immune system against these nasty dogs. Disgust, for one thing, is a big part of your immune system. And more people get these pedigree dogs that are bred to just look absolutely nasty. And they're not disgusted by it. They're not disgusted by the urine and feces in their house. They're not disgusted by their nasty lifestyle. And disgust is a big part of your immune system. So that proves what I'm talking to you about with dogs. We're not allowing our immune system to build up an immunity against dogs. We're not allowing ourselves to push dogs out of our life. In fact, we're pushing dogs into our life.
Have viral components. Then the last theory has to do with viruses being a necessary tool to help with survival. Now, those are all the theories that are known. There's a couple of, I just want to add my 2 cents at this point, what I think the purpose of viruses are for your immune system. So in the immune system, you have two types. You have the type of immune system that you were born with. It's called the innate. Your mother gave it to you. But you also have another part of an immune system called the acquired immune system.
So that's what I'm talking about. We are not acquiring a proper immunity to this invasion of dogs that are hurting us and killing us.
This is the part that you need to develop over time. And you cannot develop it without viruses. And they cause your immune system to adapt and become very, very strong if you let this process happen.
If you let the process happen, you see, we're not letting the process happen with all of this dog culture stuff. We are telling our immune system, nope, shut up. We take allergy meds. We push more dogs into the house. We buy more air filters. We do more facial surgeries on kids, etc. And we just ignore it. So are dogs like a virus on society? It seems like it to me. Have a look at this Dr. Berg video if you get a chance. He really makes some great observations, and see you guys in the next one.